I formally invite you to a dinner party.
Ooh. What kind of dinner party?
Well, let me ask you a question first.
Please do.
Would you like some wine?
Well, I don't drink, so no.
Red or white?
Neither, please. Water. That actually has some relevance, folks.
This is a goofy. I'm just being a goof.
Well, it's a fun film.
It is.
Another find, just like rolling through the multiverse that is Tubi.
Yeah.
You know, folks.
I friggin' love Tubi.
I know. I just have to say, when you have like some downtime, people spend like 2 hours.
Go down the Tubi hole.
Yeah, because you're not even going to come close to getting what's all in there. But
get all up in that Tubi hole.
Get all up in it. They have like 30 different breakdowns in the browse section, and they're very thorough. And I mean, I spend like 15, 20 minutes, and I'm just looking for something to fall asleep. You know, and that's like, never mind when you click on something and then below is all the other stuff. That's a whole separate rabbit hole.
Yeah. And then you're like, ooh, what's this?
Right. So with all of that in mind, we found this gem.
Sure did.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that a lot sometimes.
Yeah. I'm usually farting around in here or fucking about with something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You end up hitting like, what's going on? And we find some great things.
Yeah. We also discovered a lot of interesting lessons.
Yes. Really good ones.
Yeah.
Really good ones. We talk about some really hard-hitting lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real winder. It's a real game of chutes and ladders.
It really is. And it's fun. We had a lot of fun watching it, taking notes on it. We had a lot of fun talking about it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you get to be part of the fun.
Yeah, definitely. Listen and then watch, or watch and then listen.
And watch again. This is a 2-watcher. You have to watch this at least twice. It's just that much fun.
That's true.
And there's so much going on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we let them in on it?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's go.
In.
Hey, B-Siders. Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Jim.
And this is your manic pixie dream girl, Danny.
Is that going to be our new thing?
I'm going to do a bit now where I pick a movie trope that I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You could pick a movie trope that you are.
I think I'm good today.
Okay.
I didn't have time to prepare for this. This was not discussed in the company meeting.
Well, we just had it. So, I mean, you could have brought it up.
Yeah, let me know when we're having company meetings.
I'm looking over the minutes right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, oh, God. All right. Well, we have a fun movie this week.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. Had some really interesting elements that caught us by surprise.
Yes.
But before we get into that, got some things to talk about.
Yeah, as of this recording, we are 11 days out from our vacation.
Yes. And this, coincidentally, is the last recording we're doing before vacation.
Ooh.
So by the time this comes out, it will be well after vacation.
Well, yeah.
You know, but hey, that's how it goes. It's been a marathon, but we got her done.
Oh my goodness, it's been so crazy.
And we had some great interviews, a bunch of other stuff going on, not the least of which is we have a new family member.
We do.
Jean-Claude.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Roomba.
Yes.
So
named after Jean-Claude Van Damme because, you know, it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, got ourselves a Roomba. And Jean-Claude has been busy.
I should have picked a JCVD trope to put up in the beginning here. Oh, nuts.
Well, next time maybe. It's all right. But that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, messing with stuff. And not the least of which was your letting him run at midnight, which was a pleasant surprise for me.
Well, I had set a schedule for him to run at midnight. So I was like, you can just run a couple times a week during the night. But you stay up pretty late, and he's also he himself isn't very loud.
No.
But the jet engine that is the bin empty function.
Yeah, we have the one we got the bass with that empties it out, and holy shit. It's the first time we heard that sound literally like a single engine turbine. Yeah. Just
Midge covered her ears.
Yeah, she's not a fan of loud noises. No. So that didn't go well.
She never has been.
No.
4th of July has never been a real big holiday around here because she's not a big fan of the noisy.
Well, I'm not.
Well, neither are you.
Yeah. So, she's in good company.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's not really a nighttime thing because that bad boy is super loud. Like almost unreasonably.
It's wild.
Loud. Yeah. So, we still got to do the edge vacuuming and, things. But like you said, it is nice to, not have the accumulation of little bits and bobbles.
Yes.
Right? Because I just ran him earlier today and let him do his thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Like, when you're walking around your house and the floor's not dirty, you vacuum weekly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any pets. It's not like, it's a, fur fest or anything up in here. Weekly is regular. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, you step on a little sharp bit of something.
Well, the kitchen is like the number one offender.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially when Midge has been, snack prepping throughout the day. There's a lot of accumulating telltale signs of Midge inhabitation.
This is true. Yes. But having it, since we got it, I haven't, stepped on any little weird oddball thing.
No. It's been good. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're fun. Especially when you give it a name, because, we're nerds.
That's true.
So
the alternative name choice was going to be Marvy.
Yeah. I mean, Marvy would have worked, but we were tossing some names and then just good old Jean-Claude.
Yeah.
Hit me.
He kicks ass around the house.
He does.
He kicks that dirt's ass.
He does.
So.
Crazy. Oh, well, I think that's it. Other than, we're getting ready to go and do some metal detecting on a beach.
Yeah, we got our sticks for our scoops.
And be grown-ups by ourselves for a week.
A whole week.
While our daughter's getting spoiled by her grandparents.
Without having to work.
I know.
Or do anything.
I know.
It's going to be a bonanza.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, maybe we'll find some pirate gold.
We're going to do really exciting things like sleeping in and eating junk food and metal detecting on the beach.
Yep.
And these might not sound like exciting things to some of you, but they're very exciting things to us. We might also write.
Yeah, might actually be able to get some writing in. Find a nice little shop.
Mm-hmm.
Turn of the century.
Walk about.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah. I almost just want to go now.
I do too.
I know we can't. We got to get this done, number one.
Yeah. Let's get this episode done.
All right.
We can go on vacation.
Well, would you like to tell us what we are watching?
Yes. We are watching The Perfect Host, made in 2010, directed by Nick Tomney, written by Nick Tomney and Krishna Jones, starring one of the world's most underrated actors.
Yes.
David Hyde Pierce.
Yep.
Adore him in everything he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He just has this weird energy. I really dig him.
he's just he has an intensity.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, actual character being intense or just mild. I mean, because everyone will remember him from Frasier.
Yeah, Niles from Frasier.
Yeah. And, Niles was just so comical. And, David Hyde Pierce was good with the physical comedy, the expressions.
Yeah.
And we talked about him, how dark he got sometimes.
Yeah.
But he was not like, he was just very, Nilesy about it. Yeah. It was just like, oh, dude.
Weird, creepy dark. So, yeah, David Hyde Pierce, also starring Clayne Crawford and Nathaniel Parker. It was rated R. The budget was $500,000. A cool $500,000. And here is the logline. An on-the-run convict looking for temporary cover finds it at the house of a very colorful character.
That works for me.
I disagree. Here's my problem with this logline.
Okay.
It massively undersells this movie.
Well, it does. But more importantly, the trailer, right?
Yeah, is misleading.
It delightfully, purposefully misleading, and it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
This is one of the few that I sort of take a little bit of issue with, like, the spoilers that we're going to do. I mean, we always do them, and I very rarely am like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't spoil it. But in this one, I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Maybe you should watch it for yourself. But we're definitely going to spoil it. Don't worry.
Well, yeah. I mean, this, if this were a review show, obviously we wouldn't spoil things. But we're dissecting stuff, and it doesn't make sense to dissect 3/4 of a movie and then find no lessons in the finale to talk about.
Well, that's the thing. That's where all the good stuff comes in. That's where all the juicy lessons.
Well, that's why we hang through this whole thing.
Yeah. That's where all the tasty lessons happen.
Yes.
Well, why don't you start us out?
All right. So we have a young man who's walking fast and breathing heavy. And these are cut shots, just want to say.
Yeah, it's very harried.
Yeah. Stuffs a bag into the trunk of a car. He hurriedly starts changing his clothes. Then he walks away fast from the car, gets to a bicycle that's chained up behind a building. And with bag in hand, he gets on that and rides away. Goes to a dumpster quite a distance away and throws the bike in, which I'm like, oh,
okay.
This man has a plan.
Yeah.
Clearly. And then he comes to another car, gets in, and he drives away. And as he's driving, anxiously, I might add, we see he has a hole in his shoe and blood coming from his foot. Then he's limping into a Quick Mart. He's getting like alcohol and bandages from the little, traveler's med
Obviously
station.
Something for his foot.
Yeah. And a young woman storms in to rob the place. So she's yelling at the store owner with her gun. He comes around the corner. She ends up getting his wallet. The store owner throws the money on the counter because he's just like yelling at her in, I'm assuming either Vietnamese, Korean, or Hmong.
I'm not sure.
But anyway, then she yells at him to put it in a bag. And the guy who has the bleeding foot says he doesn't give a shit what she's doing. Just leave him out of it.
Right.
And I love that. So she tells him to drop the medical stuff. He argues. He's like, but I need this. It's the last one. And then he does it. Smashes on the floor. And then he snatches the gun from her. And then on the television, his picture comes up. It was a previous mugshot.
Right.
And then she runs out. The store owner picks up a gun and points it at him. And then he runs off.
Yeah.
And we learn his name is Taylor because he's wanted.
Yeah.
He gets into his car and then the radio is talking about him in the car he's driving. So later we see him pulled over somewhere. He's making a makeshift bandage for his foot. He's in a very nice neighborhood. So he gets out and he starts limping through it. He picks a house, knocks on it, tells the lady who answers that he was just mugged, and plays up being a Jehovah's Witness because in her window is a sign saying she herself is a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
It's brilliant. She ends up calling his bullshit.
Yes.
And then shuts the door on him. And then he's back to walking the neighborhood. He comes to a mailbox and goes through the mail, finding a postcard from someone named Julia from Australia. So he goes up to the house and rings the doorbell. Inside, a man answers through the intercom, and his name is Warwick. Taylor says he's a friend of Julia's, saying he just left her in Sydney. I think they moved out.
Oh. We have some vacuuming going on upstairs.
Yeah, sorry for the pause. I'm not even going to cut this out. I'll see if I can mix it out.
All
yeah,
right.
I think the actual cleaners are up there. They have heavy duty stuff. So anyway, left her in Sydney, says he lost his luggage and was just mugged. He pleads to be let in to make some arrangements. Warwick says he's expecting people for dinner. Taylor waddles away. And then Warwick changes his mind and opens the door and lets him in. Warwick goes to pour some wine. Taylor's looking around. And it's a really nice place.
It is.
You know, Warwick comes back. They sit down with their wine. Warwick asks, how was Australia? They chat for a bit. Then he asks how Julia is, about how she feels about going back to work. Taylor says fine. And then Warwick says, that's strange. The last time they talked, she was thinking of leaving. And then they head to the kitchen so Warwick can continue preparing for dinner. And I love the balance here.
Yeah.
Right? So we have the neighbor lady calling his bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then I love it. It's so Nilesy. I mean, that's the only way to explain it. He's just very,
it really is.
He's just very polite. Oh, that's so fun. You know, that's odd. The last time we talked, she was talking about leaving. And then, you know, Taylor is just spewing bullshit and Warwick's just like, oh.
It's a really interesting conversation that they have because you're wondering, does Warwick know? Like, is he just, you know, letting this play out to see what happens?
Right. You know, because he's like,
Because he keeps asking all these questions that are like designed to trip Taylor up.
Yeah. You know, and Taylor always has a comeback because that's, you know, who he is. But, you know, my favorite was, you know, it's odd that Julia never mentioned you.
Right.
Which is, you know, it's a ballsy move. You gotta love it.
It really is. And so I want to just make a note. I had to do a find and replace in here because Taylor, his name is John Taylor.
Right.
He introduces himself to Warwick as John. So Warwick calls him John.
Yes.
But you called him Taylor throughout all your notes. And I just decided to call him Taylor through my notes as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I could have easily switched calling him John.
So if I miss a John up in here,
I'll just let it go. Okay.
So Taylor pretends to make a phone call to his like cousin or whoever that he's pretending to be meeting and says, oh, his cousin is unavailable. Can he stay a little longer? And Warwick graciously offers to make a call to the airline to like get on them about Taylor's lost luggage.
Right. Offers to do something about it.
Yeah. And Taylor makes up a terrible last name. I can't remember what he said it was, but it was like John Johnson.
Yeah.
And Warwick's like, John Johnson? Oh, that's weird. And he's like, yeah, my parents were terrible. And I wrote in here, I do not believe for a second that Warwick believes this guy's terrible story because he goes through this whole rigmarole of talking to the airline on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And he is like very insistent, you know, on this, whoever he's talking to on the phone. Get your manager. Okay, well, the manager will call us back, he says. He hangs up the phone.
Yeah.
And he ends up inviting Taylor to stay for dinner. So while Warwick leaves the room, Taylor steals the money in his wallet and drinks more of the wine.
Yeah.
So we now see a small flashback of Taylor putting on his disguise earlier, and being in a building. And then we're back in the present and Warwick's asking him all kinds of questions about Julia. He cheerfully suggests calling Julia and picks up the phone. Taylor, meanwhile, is like freaking out.
Yeah.
And then Warwick is like, oh, it's voicemail. So he leaves a message for Julia. Taylor then asks to use the restroom and he like limps in there. And Warwick asks him about his foot. And Taylor doesn't really give an answer. He looks at his bloodied foot, and then we get a little quick flashback of him remembering a girl.
Yeah.
And then we have Warwick setting the table while talking to Taylor, mentioning a friend, one of his friends coming over he's a prosecuting attorney.
He works for the DA's office.
Yeah. And this freaks out Taylor, who like tries to make an excuse to go. And then Warwick turns on the radio and Taylor's listening to the report. And he's trying to listen while Warwick is like babbling at him about his friend. And eventually, and the radio report is about Taylor, right?
Yes.
Robbing a bank.
Yeah. And
eventually he has to Warwick to shut up so he can hear the report. And Warwick is taken aback. Yeah. And Taylor pulls out the postcard and, just like plays his whole cards. I lied, right? And Warwick is shocked.
He's a gentle soul.
Yes. Taylor pulls out a cigarette and lights it up, and Warwick's like, I don't mind if you smoke.
I know. That's ballsy.
No, it's fine. Smoke in my house.
Yeah.
And then Taylor holds a knife to Warwick's throat, and Warwick says, I love this. You can't kill me. I'm having a dinner party.
He says it with such a straight face and such intense, it's been planned.
Right. I'm having a dinner party. I'm busy. You can't kill me. And Taylor makes some pretty serious threats and tells Warwick to call his friends and tell them to fuck off. So Warwick makes a call and he says, hey, I'm not feeling too well tonight. Don't come over. Can you let the others know? And hangs up. Taylor then takes his shoe off and Warwick looks at it and his sock is all bloody. He's got it like makeshift bandaged up. Warwick looks like he's going to be sick. He goes into the kitchen to get some water and he dives towards Taylor's foot. And you initially think that he's going to help take care of it or something.
Right.
But he starts scrubbing the floor. And Taylor, in real mode now, has a weird accent. And I wrote, it's very thick in the cheek, like Alabama kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which he didn't have before.
No.
So this is real Taylor.
Yeah.
Right? And Warwick is just wiping the floor, ignoring the foot. And Taylor asks what he's doing. And Warwick's like, well, I'm cleaning up your nasty mess. And Taylor kicks him.
Yeah. And a good one, too.
Oh, yeah. A real solid one.
So right after that, we cut to the police department. We have an older detective who's coming in, goes into an office wherein a younger detective is sitting. The young detective has witness statements about the robbery. Seems Taylor asked out one of the tellers several times, so she had his home phone number. Back at the house, Warwick asks Taylor why he did it in the first place. There's always ways to earn money. Stealing is not the answer. So Taylor gets up and goes over to him, and he's looking really groggy.
Yeah.
Right about now. He tells Warwick he's going to kill him. But he may change his mind as long as Warwick can basically shut up and follow his instructions. Yeah, that's fine. Just after that little bit, he looks even groggier.
Right. I'm like, oh, his foot must be bleeding out pretty bad.
Right. He limps away to sit in a chair. Warwick follows with a towel to wipe up blood from his foot.
Yeah, Warwick's very concerned about his floor.
Oh, you know what? If you think of Niles and Frasier and you think of his house and Frasier's house, that's exactly the setting they're in.
Yeah.
Pristine. I mean, absolutely pristine. You know? So in the chair, Taylor drops his wine glass and then he falls out of the chair. And Warwick is complaining that everyone was running late. So as Taylor falls over, Warwick throws a plate across the room. He's angry. This is, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
And then he picks up the knife saying, it's a cheeky little drug, isn't it? Oh. I don't want to mention this right now. I do.
Okay.
So in the beginning, we missed it in our notes because it meant nothing. One of the pleasantries was when he invited him to have some wine.
Oh,
which do you prefer, red or white?
Mm-hmm.
Taylor said red. And looking back, Warwick was drinking white.
Yes.
Right? That's important later on. So he drugged the red wine, clearly. Let's see. So Taylor is tied to a chair at the dining table. His eyes open. Now, Warwick is talking to himself.
Yes.
Plates are set at empty chairs around the table. So Taylor's at one end, Warwick is at the other, and there's 4.
Right, 2 on each side.
Yeah, 2 on each side, 4 plates at the empty chairs. And then suddenly we see people.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like,
well, hold on.
Huh? And then it just, takes a little bit here to readjust. But they're not really there. They're in Warwick's head. He walks around eating food from the plates as he talks to the imaginary guests.
Yes.
And I mean like shoveling in big amounts, right? And he's having quite a good time as Taylor is trying to fully wake up and figure out just what the fucking hell is going on. Warwick introduces Taylor to everyone. And he imagines their conversation with Taylor. Taylor yells, "Fuck you," and Warwick punches him in the face.
Yep.
Then he asks the DA to talk about his cases. Because, they have a real criminal at the table. Taylor sees a piece of broken plate near him. He leans over to eat his food, and while Warwick is talking with his imaginary friends, he snaps up the piece in his mouth. Warwick gets up from the table. Taylor starts to cut himself loose. He tries to hobble away. He's still drugged. So he gets up and he just more falls forward and falls over a chair. Now, and then we see it from Warwick's point of view. He's seeing one of his imaginary friends on the floor.
Yeah, Chelsea.
And he's like, "Oh, Chelsea." And runs over to help her, and then he knocks out Taylor. It was just so funny.
Yeah, it's very physical comedy.
It is. And the editing for these little bits too, let's just say from front to back.
Really good.
Beautiful. Perfect. Taylor is back at the table. Plates are cleaned up. Warwick asks Taylor if he's going to apologize to Chelsea. Taylor laughs. And then Warwick crawls on the table with a knife and points it at Taylor. Taylor apologizes to Chelsea.
Yes.
Yes.
Imaginary Chelsea.
Yep. Warwick, satisfied, carries on the dinner conversation by asking Taylor what's new and interesting. Taylor says he's having dinner with a lunatic. Nothing interesting about that. And then Warwick runs off.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what the hell? And Taylor's just like, He comes back with a Polaroid. And then he snaps a picture of Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the fuck? So then he darts off again. And comes back with a photo album. He starts flipping through. He's very excited about this photo album. He's eagerly showing Taylor, right? There are a number of dead people in it.
Yes.
He shows the album broken up in sections of 9 p.m., midnight, and the finale. Was there like a 3 a.m.?
Yeah, there was a 3
There was a 3 a.m.
And then the finale is 6 a.m.
Okay. There is a particular man that is shown on every page as he's doing this. So it's like the last part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Leading up to the finale where he's in the bathtub with his throat cut. And in the pictures, he's in like various stages of being beaten.
Yes.
Until we see him in a bathtub with his throat cut. And you're like, fuck, man.
Well, yeah. So this album is really interesting because here's what I found really fascinating. There are maybe like 2 or 3 separate people in this album that are going through the various stages, right?
Right.
But around them and around the Polaroids and the pictures are hand-drawn pictures of Warwick's imaginary friends.
Yes.
who were present for all of these parties.
Yeah.
It's a wild photo album.
It's crazy. This is the kind of thing. So there used to be a time, I can't remember the name of the store. They sold movies, not a huge selection, like the current stuff and some cult stuff, but they had tons of like movie toys.
Okay.
I can't remember. They didn't last long. It's where I got Buddy Jesus.
Sure.
Right. And the Star Wars script. They had stuff like that. It'll come to me at some point. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff that I wish they had those stores, because I wish movies like this would publish. Right.
I'll get one of these weird photo albums.
Yeah, like mass reproduce the photo album. This would be fucking funny as hell to have in your hands.
Oh my, it'd be so freaky. How would you explain this to someone? You're like, hey, check out this cool memorabilia I have.
Like, hey, you want to see a prop from The Perfect Host? Check this out. Isn't this fucking great?
Then your friend is like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, but think of like the movie Seven.
Never talking.
They had one person writing all those fucking journal pages. Can you imagine? And in fact, they're on one of the like DVD specials on the nightmare that was that job. And that was their job. Because they, the director's like, I want authentic shit. I don't want just like a page and then blank books. So they had to rough up. I mean, not all thousands of those, but he did so many pages.
Yeah.
That would be cool though. We have the Reanimator standing on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
in our living room. Don't look at me like movie toys. These would be cool things.
It's Herbert West. Listen, what I'm saying is I can show someone my Herbert West action figure and be like, look, it's the Reanimator. Look at the little dead cat and the
severed
head. Yeah. But if you bring out a photo album that's full of pictures of like, busted up dead people and hand-drawn imaginary people all around them, your friends and family are going to think that you're a lunatic. Even if it is a cool movie prop that I'd love to spend some time with and look at.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. I heartily disagree.
Okay.
Time will tell.
You have ever read... will it?
Hey, I can find the time to freeze frame every shot of that fucking book and do my best.
You're going to recreate it?
To recreate it.
That's psychotic. I love you so much. Okay. Back at the police station, the detectives are watching the robbery tape. That's it for the detectives.
Yeah.
Back at the house, Warwick is hitting on Chelsea, the imaginary lady, who's very into him, until she's like, but what about Julia? And Taylor is watching this like absolutely fascinated. He is enthralled by this conversation that Warwick is having with the wall.
Yeah, there's a shift from this is super fucking weird to now he's like,
Huh.
this guy's really into this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of the shift, like he's not doing this just to, fuck with me.
Right.
Because Taylor is knocked out and he wakes up and Warwick is hitting on this imaginary woman and he's like, huh, there is something like legitimately unhinged about this guy.
This guy's for real.
Yeah. And then one of Warwick's imaginary guests is bored. And at this point, I was regretting not naming his imaginary friends because they're all distinct personalities with names.
They are.
And the actors who play them are phenomenal, but because of the story, they're imaginary guests. So I was like, I guess I don't need, they're not real.
Chelsea is like the one we got.
So one of them is called Rupert.
Oh, yes. And Rupert.
Yeah. Rupert's, I think,
the DA.
Mm-hmm. So one of them brings up a movie and, because they're like, we should watch a movie. And Warwick is thrilled to show it.
Oh,
so he drags Taylor, chair and all, into another room and puts on this movie on a projector. And this movie is literally just Warwick in a chair, cutting up his stomach with a big old kitchen knife.
Yep.
And his chest. There's blood coming out of the wounds, and he's laughing. And it is wildly disturbing.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
And the movie is real
Yes.
because Taylor's watching it and he is reacting kind of like we did. Like, what the hell?
Oh my God. Yeah. I think that was one of the most disturbing, that was the most disturbing part so far of this movie. Now there is a full-on party of imaginary people, not just the 4, a bunch.
Yeah, there's like 30, 40 maybe.
Yeah. This is a full-on Hollywood house party.
Yeah.
And Work is dancing through it. There's a conga line. It is hopping his imaginary party. Taylor's on the couch and he eventually makes his way over there, snaps a quick photo with him, Taylor, Rupert, and Chelsea. And the Polaroid develops and it's just him and Taylor.
Right.
And then he doodles Rupert and Chelsea on it later. But then Taylor's like, could I join the conga line? And Work is a little taken aback. You really?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to need a cocktail to do it. And he's very clear that this cocktail is like a drug. It's a drug tale.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because he's like, I can't trust you without your bonds. So going to need to drug you up. It's going to be a little rowdy. So Taylor's like, fine. And he drinks it and basically becomes a vegetable.
Yes.
And we see Work pushing Taylor through the house in front of his imaginary conga line. And he's carrying Taylor in front of him.
But wait.
Their feet are tied together.
Taylor is wearing.
What?
Oh, no, he's not yet.
No.
Never mind.
Okay.
Jump the gun.
Golly.
I just love it so much.
Okay. So, then we get a small flashback of Taylor and the girl from earlier again at a party, a little house party.
Yeah, more like a gathering.
A very small, yeah.
Yeah, people some at a table, just a couple in chairs around it, yeah.
And then we're back. Work is taking a picture of Taylor passed out, and then he's dancing. And Taylor is kind of waking up. He's very, very groggy. Whatever was in that cocktail was still wrong.
Yeah.
So Taylor sees the phone next to him on the couch, and he tries grabbing it and making a call while Warwick is busy dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Warwick does something beautiful. Would you like to describe this bit?
Oh, I think you can.
Okay. Well, it's just so beautiful. I don't know exactly how to describe it, except that it is a full-on choreographed dance number with the whole invisible gang, the entire party like a flash dance, to Car Wash.
Yeah.
And Warwick is center stage.
He is. He is on a little table.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just working it hard.
Yeah.
And then they show all of his imaginary friends and they're working. It is. Yes. It's a musical number. And yeah, which is funny as hell, but Car Wash.
Well, they cut back and forth. Yeah, the Car Wash. They cut back and forth between Warwick and the party and Warwick alone.
I know.
As Taylor sees it.
And that was so brilliant because as the choreographed part, it looks like a fun, silly little thing. And then when they cut to Taylor's face and then to just Warwick doing his thing, right, as Taylor sees it, then you're like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. It looks, this is why these dance numbers should only ever be done in groups of 10 or more.
Yes. It is wild.
You don't want anybody to be able to look at one person for too long without distraction.
Yeah. Kudos to David Hyde Pierce, though. He's got some moves.
Again, super physical.
Yeah.
With his acting.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so underrated. He's so goddamn good. This was brilliant. We were just cracking up.
Oh, yeah. We get another flashback. Taylor's girl in this flashback has a pain in her side. And he's worried. And it doesn't seem like this is the first time it's happened.
Right.
So then we're back to the present. And we see Taylor in he's got floaties on his arm. And he's in an inner tube.
Yeah.
And he's in the pool. And Warwick comes up like a mermaid in front of him.
Yes.
He's having a swim. And the neighbor lady, and this is the Jehovah's Witness lady.
Right.
She sees Taylor floating in the pool and hears him making sounds. And the sounds he is making are like real weird.
Right.
Because they're drugged up.
Yeah. To explain quick. So this is in the hills, right? So her house is a little higher up. So when she's out on her balcony, she can see like down into Warwick's like pool. She can see into this, first floor, all lit up and everything. So yeah.
Yeah. So, oh boy, she's worried. So she comes down to check in, and Warwick, hearing her come, slaps a Creature from the Black Lagoon mask on Taylor. Because by this point, Taylor looks pretty beat up. He's got scratches on his face. He's got bruising.
Well, I mean, he's been punched a few times.
That's true.
And
he pretends that Taylor is like just drunk out of his mind. He's like, we just came back from a party, yada, yada, yada. He's had a little too much. We're going to turn in. Don't worry. We'll be quiet now. And it takes a little bit of convincing, but she eventually goes away. But Taylor is like trying to get her attention this whole time. He's making, he's trying to get her to help, but she's fooled by Warwick. So she leaves, and in the house, Chelsea is worried that the woman will call the police. And the friends all kind of like gang up on Warwick now. Like, dude, you got to get your shit under control. One mentions Taylor's foot, says it needs some attention. And Warwick is pissed now because all his friends have turned on him. Taylor nearly got him caught.
Yeah. Well, the focus is becoming Taylor.
Yeah, that's true. And Warwick's not about it. So he grabs a hot poker from the fire and uses it to cauterize the hole in Taylor's foot and to stop it from dripping on the floor. I'm fucking done with your foot dripping all over my floor.
It's horrible, but it was hilarious.
This movie's really funny.
It's oh man. So after that, we have another flashback. So the young woman from Taylor's flashbacks apparently needs a procedure, but the insurance says it's not covered because they consider it an elective. Taylor says they need to get some money. The woman says no, tells him they're not going to steal any money. He says he's done it before. She says, yeah, but he went to prison for it. So Taylor is waking up again after that. He's at the table tied to a chair. Warwick is taking another picture of him. Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Yes.
He's also playing chess with one of the imaginary people. Taylor asks Warwick to listen to him. Asks Warwick to let him go. Warwick says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Warwick says he's glad Taylor is his guest, but he has only himself to blame for the situation.
Right.
Then he starts to put out postcards on the table.
From different places.
Yeah, just like a little sack of them. Like he's dealing them out. He grabs one and he starts writing, "Dear Warwick." And it's the same handwriting that was on the Sydney postcard from Julia. Taylor asks, so where is she now? Warwick says she's in Bangkok. And then Taylor asks, who is Julia? He tells Warwick that Taylor asks who is Julia, and then he tells Warwick that, he's Julia.
Warwick is Julia.
Yeah, Warwick is Julia. And Rupert and Chelsea. And they're all him. And Warwick just walks away. Then Warwick is handing out fine cocktails.
Yeah, these are end of the evening cocktails.
Yeah.
The classy ones.
Oh, yes. Taylor asks, what now? Warwick says, it's quiet time to reflect. Taylor says, well, that's not very entertaining. Then we see Warwick saying, if you win, I'll grant you your freedom. What do I get? And we pull back, they're playing chess. And then we have a flashback of Taylor in a bathtub with the young woman, and he's teaching her chess.
Mm-hmm.
So presumably he's good at it, possibly. At this point, we don't know.
Yeah. Well, before we saw Warwick saying, if you, grant you your freedom, when Taylor was like, that's not very entertaining, Warwick was like, well, what do you want to do then?
Right.
And Taylor looked at the chessboard pointedly.
Yeah. So, we also have shots of him at the bank as they're doing this, back and forth. And it looks like he's scoping it out. And then back to Warwick, he's asking Taylor, oh my God, he's asking what Taylor can do for him if he wins, meaning Warwick. Several more shots of Taylor in the tub and then getting ready to rob the bank and so on. And then back to Warwick. He says he knows what Taylor can do for him if he wins. And then Taylor says, checkmate. And Warwick is stunned.
Yeah.
He's like, what? He's like, didn't see that coming. Never seen anyone play like that or play that way. Something like that. So, kudos.
Well, he genuinely didn't think Taylor could win.
No, which means he might have, not been paying attention. Just kind of like full of himself. The fool's just moving pieces. Well, regardless, here's where we are. So Taylor has won, and he reminds Warwick that he said he'd untie him. So Warwick walks away. Taylor is not happy, and then Warwick comes back with a knife, and after a minor panic moment, unties Taylor. Warwick tells him he's free to go. So Taylor hobbles off, and Warwick calls him a worthless little man and starts goading him.
Oh, yeah.
Calls him a nothing. He's forgettable. And then Taylor grabs a Japanese knife off of the wall.
Yeah, there's like a series of them.
Yeah, different, katanas and different things. Then he stabs Warwick in the stomach twice. And then Warwick is laughing. He stands up. There's no wounds. The fucking knife is a fake with a retracting blade.
Right?
What? So then he slams Taylor against the door, knocking him out again.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm thinking, no matter what happens next, this guy's going to have some serious brain damage because Warwick has been fucking hammering that head. A lot, one way or another. So, Taylor wakes up in a bathtub, tied up. Warwick is imaginary fucking one of his guests at the sink. And they don't do
that from Warwick's point of view.
Yeah, so you don't ever actually see her. You just see him air fucking. And this is probably, to me, the single most disturbing bit in this whole thing. He's shouting, "Love me," as he comes. And then we cut back to the detectives. No lingering with love there. And I'm like, boy, they sure do play a minuscule part in all of this. One of them is waiting for a fax, and then he gets it and runs off. And it made me chuckle because they are so minimal.
They're very minimal.
It's not like they're grilling people and they're doing real deep, police work. They're waiting on shit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the office.
Well, one of the things they do mention, and we don't mention it in the notes because these detectives really are, it's like a minute and then we're away. But one thing that they have figured out throughout the course of the movie is that Taylor didn't act alone. He had an accomplice.
Right.
And they figure out it's the bank teller who we see was the girl with the side pain.
That doesn't come up yet.
Yeah, it does.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it has come up. Well, prior to that, though, the teller that they were showing wasn't her.
Right.
It was someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the thought that, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it seems like they did end up working together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But she ratted him out somehow because she's the one who said she knew who he was. They got it right.
Then it starts coming together. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we're in the morning at the house. Warwick is enjoying his after party morning, party with his guests. And he's putting photos of Taylor, his neck slashed, in his photo album. So the last time we saw Taylor, he was in the bathtub, vis-a-vis the other photos. Someone in a bathtub with their neck slashed. So Taylor's joined that club.
Yep.
And then the neighbor woman sees Taylor's body in the alley. Like he's in a pile of trash and his legs are sticking out.
He's literally just been set next to the bins on top of some trash cans.
Yeah, not even hidden.
No. And we were like,
what the fuck? This doesn't seem like a sustainable serial killer motif, man.
No.
So she's on the phone,
Yes.
And then Taylor wakes up. All of his wounds, including the slash on his neck, are special effects makeup.
Yeah. Well, most of the wounds.
Yeah.
There's the punch wounds, like a split lip, and he's got a couple on the eyebrow.
Well, even those are fake.
Those two. Off. Yeah, those two were fake. He's got like a split lip from getting hit, and then he's got a cut on the face somewhere. That's real, but the rest of it, yeah,
it's
fake.
It's all fake, and he's trying to figure it out. And we cut back to Warwick because Taylor's just what the fuck. Warwick opens up a pill bottle. He takes 2 out.
Mm-hmm.
Then he puts 1 back before just taking 1 and swallowing. And Rupert tells him, his imaginary friend Rupert says, you're supposed to take 2 in order to function at work. And Warwick's like, I know. I have this under control.
Yeah.
My dude, I'm fine. Taylor is confused and wanders away. So then we're back in Warwick's house, and one of the detectives is at the door. And Warwick, in a bit of a panic, cleans everything up, puts his makeup case away, like.
Oh, yeah. It shows he's got this huge theater makeup case, the metal kind that with the top that folds out and an accordion.
Yeah.
And there's tons of shit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he shuts that up, puts stuff away, and he opens the door and lets the cop in. And Warwick is a police lieutenant.
Yep.
He's this cop's boss.
Yeah. The cop is there for some advice
on the bank case.
Yep.
And they're putting the case together, and the cop is telling him, the teller is Taylor's girl. They were in on it together, yet she ID'd him. What's up with that? Taylor, meanwhile, just like wandering the city, is flashing back to memories of her. And he goes to a car rental agency to check a reservation. And, she made a reservation there. It's still on. Yeah,
because that's what she was supposed to meet him with that car, and off they were going to go.
And the reservation's in an hour.
Yeah.
And he thinks again to her identifying him because he knows that it was her, and he starts calling other car rental agencies. And she has made a reservation at a different one for an earlier time.
Mm-hmm.
So now we see the cops, including Warwick, are on her, and she's coming out of the apartment. She goes into a garage and up, and Taylor is there waiting for her. She has picked up the car with all the money inside. So they argue for a moment, and then Taylor takes that car and leaves. And he passes the cop car because they're on their way up following her. The car he took was a different car, right?
Right.
Than the one she rode up in there with. They really did think this through. Like, it was pretty, change vehicles, do this.
Well, yeah, just like him in the car, then the bike and the car and stuff. And yeah.
And at the garage gate, he is stopped by Warwick. And Taylor's face, and in this moment, wow. Yeah. Warwick has a little conversation with Taylor, and Taylor's like, you've got to let me go, man, because I can tell them what you did last night.
Yep.
So Warwick takes all the money. The cops radio him and are like, have you seen anything? And he's like, nope, haven't seen anything. He gives Taylor a couple of wads of the cash, telling him that he'll need it to get through customs.
Yeah.
And then we see Warwick walking down the street with the money bag. So Warwick's on top of being crazy.
He's crooked.
He is super crooked. You know, is he dangerous? I mean, maybe.
To some degree, has to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but not a murderer. So there's that. Then we see we're in the police station. One of the detectives has an envelope, and it's from Mexico. Inside the envelope is just this Polaroid of Warwick and Taylor, the one that Warwick took at the house.
Yes.
When he had Rupert and Chelsea.
Yeah.
And it says something at the bottom, like watch out or something.
Yeah, watch out.
And this detective is determined to investigate for the first time, do some detective work.
Right.
In this movie. He has the neighbor as a witness because she mentioned seeing Taylor there.
Yeah.
Right. And Warwick, like, he goes and talks to Warwick about it, and Warwick is first like, oh, they're really good at that Photoshop stuff nowadays, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And the detective's like, it's a Polaroid. You can't Photoshop a Polaroid. And so he's like, I'm going to need to, come to your house and look around. They have this whole discussion with Warwick consistently pulling his like seniority card.
Yes.
And the detective not being intimidated by this.
No, he is not swayed one bit.
No.
Nope.
And Warwick's like, well, why don't you come for dinner and then you can look around. I'm trying to be civil about this. I have some friends coming over anyway. Do you drink red wine or white wine? Red? Great.
Yep.
And that's the movie.
Credits.
So, this baby.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with the trailer for this movie.
I was just going to say, let's talk about the trailer.
Yeah.
And what brought us into this.
So, oh man. I don't think we were looking for a movie particularly to watch for the podcast. We needed one to watch, but I was just kind of looking and I happened to see this and played the trailer and I was like, what the F? Hey, that's David Hyde Pierce. What the fuck? What is this? I'm into it and I showed you and you were into it. Why don't you tell us what the trailer makes this movie look like?
So it looks like this guy, right? For some reason, some shit's going on. And he ends up at this guy's house. And what it looks like from that point is this guy's a lunatic and he has these lunatic friends.
A lot of lunatic friends.
Right. And we've seen movies like this.
Mm-hmm.
We have like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family.
Yeah.
Right. These fucked up groups who get together and do this really weird shit. So this seemed like the way more civilized version of that.
Yeah. I mean,
we have people who take somebody and then take them out and hunt them, as a group and stuff.
Yeah.
And the way the movie is cut, or the trailer is cut, it certainly does look like everybody's in on it.
Yes.
Right. We see Warwick doing shit to him and people are reacting and positively towards it, So we're like, oh, wow, this is going to be something. This guy's in with a bunch of batshit.
He's part of some secret society, maybe that,
Yeah. They've got the parties with masks and wild sex orgies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a party without masks and murdering people.
Yeah.
Torturing people.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Which I'm down for. I mean, not in real life, but as a movie.
Well, yeah, that's why we watched it. We're like, oh, this and it looked fun, not funny, fun.
Mm-hmm.
And plus it was David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh fuck yeah, let's do this one for the show.
Yeah.
And we did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Brilliant. Number one, brilliant marketing. Gave nothing away to the one-sided freak show.
Yeah,
that
I
is
was
Warwick.
totally surprised.
Yeah, you know.
And I didn't feel bait and switched either. I was like, this is somehow even better? What?
I know. And they did it so well. Like I said, the editing made these transitions so smooth. You weren't like, there wasn't any visual shock.
It was really very well done. It was very seamless editing. Like, let's take the when Taylor knocks over Chelsea in the chair.
Yes.
Right? And they cut between the back and forth. The chair is in like the exact same position in both takes, I guess you would call them. Both shots. One's with Chelsea and one's without her.
Yeah.
And it's that way throughout the whole film. It's very interesting.
It is. But a lot of times there's the visual shock of something going on and then all these people, right? And then boom, nothing. And then boom. David Hyde Pierce does such a good job acting in a crowd when he's by himself. Because you act different, you move differently. When you're talking straight to someone, your body animates differently than when you're talking to someone with a room full of people. Because you're talking like directing towards this person, but you're talking to all. Right? So there's a different sort of theatrics to it. And he stays with that. He's never singular.
Right.
In his performance. So when they cut to people, it's just like all of a sudden they're there while he's just doing his thing. Doesn't look out of place. And you're just like his movements and stuff, that chair, it's not these really weird jarring cuts, where, he's like sitting over here and he's got his arm up and then they cut to Taylor and they cut back to him. He's in like a different pose or something.
Yeah.
It's really well done. So editing, man, I gotta say, editors, directors who are doing your own editing. This is a really good example of some tight, clean, fast-paced, smooth editing.
Right.
Because the editing told the story. Had to.
Oh, it absolutely did.
When you're doing guy alone and guy with room full of people and back and forth, you got to edit those takes together. And these folks did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
With
that. The other thing, okay, I've got two things I want to mention. One is real quick. In the beginning of this movie, Taylor finds a postcard in Warwick's mailbox. And it's from Julia in Sydney. But we know now it's from Warwick writing to himself. You and I were like, was there a clue in here that we just missed?
Right.
Because we know he's sending this to himself. So we're like, what if the postmark is not from, Sydney?
Right.
So we went and looked and the postmark is from Sydney, which I don't know is a goof or is just part of the whole, like, we want to fool you. I can forgive a movie for doing that.
Right. Well, but we also talked about the fact that he may very well be, carting off to these places.
I mean, possibly.
To mail a postcard.
Yeah. I mean, he's a police lieutenant, though. I don't know how much vacation he actually gets. But regardless, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on that.
Well, for a police lieutenant, he has a mighty fine house.
He makes real good money.
Right? Well, I think we kind of know why. Because he walked off with Warwick's fucking robbery money. So who knows what else he's been doing.
Well, that's true.
Because it is a fine, fine place. This is not a blue-collar house.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Here's the other real interesting thing, though. What he does at the end, inviting the detective to his house. There's two ways that could end up, right? With the detective outing him or with the detective so fucking terrified of him that he leaves it alone.
That actually left me with a few things. The one thing is maybe he's going to put this guy through all this shit and the guy is going to come out PTSD. Like, I'm not fucking with this guy. Right. I don't think getting him arrested and putting him in jail and getting him sent to prison is going to keep me safe. Because this guy is fucking nuts. Right. Who knows what he could be capable of. But number two, made me think, he is that fucking nuts. He might kill him.
Well, I mean, there's a third option here, which is that Warwick invites him for dinner, leaves him, like drugged and knocked out in the alley, the same as Taylor, and then Warwick just like buggers the fuck off with his Vuku dollars because he was planning to leave anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, he was going to go retire off in the Caymans or something.
Yeah, go into hiding.
Anywhere without extradition, really.
That's the key. Do your research beforehand.
Yeah.
I mean, that could very well be, but I kind of got the sense that we were upping the darkness a little bit. Like he's going to still play his game, but it might have a different, because this is now an actual matter of survival.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't just a hapless thing. Of course, we don't know the history of any of the other guests. I hardly think that, like the guy in the photo album, that he was a bank robber.
Right.
I mean,
he might have been a criminal of some kind.
We never really get the full lowdown on where he finds these people. How does he get them to his house?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, yeah. So, and it's, at this point, it's really not important. It's not important at all.
No.
Because it was just so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he put the postcard there for, to lure in some wandering criminal. I think Taylor was a windfall.
Right.
For Warwick. Right.
Yeah.
But, either way.
I would like to talk about the flash performance of Taylor's girlfriend.
Sure.
Right? Because when he has these flashes, like the first few scenes that they flash to, he's at a table, they're playing cards.
Right.
And just, casual. You see some couples sitting in chairs and couches and stuff around the area. And you see her moving around, and she's not with him. And she's looking at him. So you kind of almost like, what
right
is this whole thing? And then it unfolds that, they've been together and there's this problem that she has and stuff, which we didn't kind of get. That was all bullshit.
Yeah, she was conning him the whole time. She
wanted to rob that bank.
Yeah.
And
she was using him because he had a criminal record. And
yep. And at first you think he's in this like seedy thing. But then as the scenes get longer and longer in his flashbacks, the way they're talking and stuff, they're just normal people.
Right.
It's not like a criminal.
And you start to sympathize with him as you're like, oh, I see why he robbed the bank now.
Yeah, he had turned over a new leaf. He was with, non-criminal friends.
Right.
Right. He had a little circle going and it was their thing. And then, she's having all these pains and we're never really sure what they are.
Right.
Right. Could be like ovarian cysts, I know can, be debilitating.
Well, that's the beautiful thing. There's a whole lot of really nebulous abdominal related diseases that can be, potentially very serious.
Right. Well, but also considered electives.
Right.
Right. I know ovarian cysts, you have to fight for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, you gain sympathy because at first you're thinking, oh, dude, man, the life you chose landed you in this fucking spot.
Mm-hmm.
Tough titties, man. But he's trying to do good.
Right.
Right. They're in a situation. She's a bank teller. Don't know what he's doing. Doesn't sound like he's doing much of anything.
Right.
Probably. But, they're just trying to get by and stuff. And you have this big thing. So it's desperation.
Right.
And he's like, well, I have the tools.
I can do this.
I know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right. But for her fucking him over.
Yeah.
It would have worked.
Oh, yeah. He'd have gotten away with it.
So, well, and it's because one of the things that bugged me was how the fuck do they know what car he's driving?
Yeah. At the beginning.
Like he's in the car
Mm-hmm. And it was the car he switched to.
Yeah, after, running off and finding a bike and then ditching the bike and running like 4 blocks to a car. How?
But it is a little explainable because we get the news about the car, which is after the gas station. So you're kind of like, oh, well, maybe the gas station guy reported him.
Maybe.
But it seems unlikely,
Right.
This is all happening very fast.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really interesting mechanic telling his story through flashbacks, which is done improperly often, right?
Yes.
It's in my personal opinion, it's often used in a very lazy way.
Yeah.
As exposition.
Yes.
But not in this movie, because this movie is taking place in real time, right?
Right.
And he's in this situation. And so we're learning about his motivations and stuff through the flashbacks.
Yes.
Because A, it doesn't make any sense for him to explain his whole life story to Warwick.
No.
And B, because it's important that we, know about him and care about him a little bit, because he's really just, from the beginning of this movie, he's just a dude who robbed a bank and like busted into this guy's house.
Right.
And then you're like, well, I don't know if I feel so bad for you that Warwick turned out to be a lunatic, because you're not so great yourself, bub.
Right. I mean, it actually reminded me of this, the way this was pieced together and the way they backfilled it, right, with these cutscenes and didn't get like too overly into it, reminded me of The Life of David Gale.
Okay. You've brought that one up recently as well.
Because it's, again, that one was one of those exceptions where it artfully brought all this backstory together and not overwhelming me as a viewer. And it was just, you're just like, and it's almost like it's happening in line with the primary story.
Right.
So you just get these little ahas, and it was just done so well. So this, again, the writing, number one, was key, to this being successful, right? Because this had to be written out, whether it was, the final draft before shooting and they made changes during shooting, whatever, but the writing had to lay it out so the editor could, seamlessly integrate. So again, it comes back to the editing. It was just wonderful. Just wonderful.
Yeah.
Something like this, extremely honed skills as a director.
Yes.
Because this was, I can't imagine shooting this. Every other scene had to be shot like 5 times for the different angles and the cut scenes of just Warwick and Taylor. And then same things with all the people.
Yeah.
Right. And Jesus Christ, keeping track of the continuity and where everything was and stuff. It was really well done. And by that meaning, again, when you see the crowd scenes, you don't immediately notice someone's not where they were just, 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You know how that happens.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the things I think of, like, for background stuff, when the girl is going to make her arrival from her slumber, I usually have like Big Bang Theory on in the background because it's a safe thing. I don't want her walking out watching a show that I really want to watch. It's not for her. But like any like sitcom or TV show, when you see people like they have a scene of somebody talking and you see someone come in from stage right, they're walking across in the background, and then they cut to somebody else, and then they cut back to them, and that person's walking in again. Right? It's just weird. Or people are at tables doing something, and they cut away, they cut back, and they're very different.
Yeah. And
we know a little bit about this because in Alice Has It Under Control, that restaurant scene, Jesus Christ, keeping track of glass levels and food levels because everything was shot out of order. It's like, okay, so they would have just gotten this, I was taking spaghetti and putting spaghetti, filling glasses, emptying glasses. And not all of it was perfect. There's like a couple edited shots. Well, I didn't have anything to do with this, but like there's shots where Greg is sitting with his elbows on the table.
Right. And you cut back and he's got his hands beneath the table.
Yeah, hands beneath the table. And it's a difference between the wide shot with the both of them where his hands are beneath the table and then close up to him, his hands are or his elbows are on the table. God damn, that bugs me.
Yeah, I see that too. But it's, it is what it is. That was a $0 budget movie.
Well, but it happens in multi-million-dollar movies. Look at the Marvel movies, right? There's at least like 5 in every Marvel film where there's some sort of easily correctable continuity fuck up.
I mean, really famously, there's like the water bottle in Game of Thrones.
Yes.
The very famous water bottle.
Well, yeah, and stuff that doesn't belong in the shot. The Starbucks mug at the dinner.
Yeah.
With Jon Snow and Daenerys and all them, and someone's got their Starbucks. It's a magical world.
It sure is.
Maybe they're just like, I want something, and there it was.
I want to talk about something.
Well, just 1 second. I'm wrapping up.
Okay, I'm just really...
Well, but my point being is, even in these high-budget films where they've got hundreds of people on set to take, to manage all these different things, it can happen. So they did a super excellent job on this, and this isn't a lesson. Look how well this was done, and aim for that. But don't feel bad if you're looking at your footage and you've got some sort of fuck up like that. You know what? You're in good company.
Yeah.
I mean, even Hitchcock had fuck ups, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, I think we love Ed Wood so much. He's like, fuck it, move on.
Perfect.
Yep.
Got it. Burn it. Let's go.
Yep. We're not going to burn film on this bullshit. That's nothing. The audience won't give a fuck.
Right.
So you had something.
Yeah. I want to talk about subtlety, and I want to talk about storytelling through subtlety. So that sounds like a really vague concept, but there are 2 examples just in this movie that I want to talk about. So the first one is when Taylor is starting to realize that he's been drugged somehow. And we're starting to realize that he's been drugged, that it isn't just his bleeding out.
Right.
There's a moment where he picks up a photograph in the house and he looks at it, and it's Warwick with his arm around an invisible person.
Right. Yes.
And he's grinning, and Taylor's like, what the fuck? And he puts it back down.
Can I just say, when we saw that, my first thought was there's something up with this guy. and the Julia thing where he pulled a, Kim Jong-il and had someone photoshopped out of his photo.
Oh.
That was, because I'm like, well, that's fucking weird. But, is he one of those that he's like, get rid of all traces kind of thing?
Oh, that wasn't where I went at all. I was like, why does he have his arm around an imaginary person? That's weird.
Potato.
Anyway.
Please continue.
So that was a very subtle clue to us that we didn't get in the trailer. We didn't get in the log line because y'all heard the log line just as he's a colorful character.
Yep.
Right? So this twist that all of his weird friends are not real, this is a huge twist for the movie. But it is hinted at before we realize all of that, right? And I think that's a fairly subtle, it's just a little thing, then it's gone, right? And we learn really quickly after that what happened. So the other thing I thought was really cool about this movie, and I would like to watch it again because I know for a fact that we missed some things that were put there specifically to clue us in. Because by the time we got around to Taylor pulling the special effects off his neck,
right,
I was like, I should have fucking seen this all along. Right?
Yeah.
Warwick makes his own home movies.
Yeah.
Warwick has prop weapons. Warwick has movie memorabilia all over his fucking house. He has monster masks. He has the creature from the Black Lagoon. All of this points to classic special effects in movies. He is an SFX homeboy.
Yes. It's SFX homeboy.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it's subtly hinted at throughout the whole film.
It is.
And I know a lot of his artwork in the film has to do with film memorabilia and, special effects kind of things.
Yeah.
And I know I didn't spot it all because I wasn't looking for it. I would be upon a second watch.
Well, here's the thing. So normally we spot shit like that.
Yeah.
And we note it. And, we roll with it and it all comes together. But this is one of those examples where, like I said, it's subtle.
Yeah.
But the story, I mean, granted, we're taking notes and stuff, but usually with notes and shit, we even notice some of these things, right? We call out a lot of stuff that we've talked about movies and then talked to the people involved and they're like, I'm surprised you saw that. I see everything. It was just the film is so engaging.
I mean, it was tough to take notes on this film.
It was. You said that like twice.
I know.
Michelle, you just take mine. I'm rolling.
Like, no, I'm doing this.
But yeah, I didn't want to take notes.
Mm-mm.
It was one that I want to give this my full attention. I mean, we give it, we like 85, 90%. That's where we flow. Because occasionally you have to look down and see that you haven't slipped off the home row and you're just typing about
right.
Right. You're like, oh, what the fuck was I trying to say there?
Oh
no. But yeah, when you have those things, I think they're really well done. When it's hard to notice them, especially for people who notice that stuff a lot, because just so much more interested in the story. I wasn't, floating off in my mind.
Yeah.
Looking at things like wondering this, wondering that, I mean, like that, the whole thing with the picture, right? Like, oh God, because, real quick, oh, maybe that he had Julia in the picture and maybe they're not like this and that. And maybe he's, maybe he's going to be fucking with Taylor because he's Julia's friend. He's like, fuck Julia.
Oh, maybe.
That happens in like a microsecond. And then I'm not contemplating it. Usually I'll be running that shit through in the back of my mind all the time. No, I'm just like, what's up next?
Yeah.
I love these exchanges. I love the dialogue. I love the interactions. I love the not so subtle performance of, I'm a liar and I'm bleeding on your floor and I'm just full of shit. And,
yeah.
It's like, God, you smell that a mile away. But then you're like, yeah, but what's up with Warwick? Is he just stupid? Is he being sinister? Or is he just like the eternal optimist and I just want to help someone out?
Well, that's the other thing. When Taylor reveals his cards and Warwick is stunned, I'm like, oh my God, I thought maybe he knew, but he doesn't know, does he?
Nope.
Right? Well, he did, obviously. And I fully believed that Julia was a real person because even his imaginary friends are like, oh, what about Julia?
Yeah.
I fully believed she was a real person up until he busted out the postcards.
Well, and the postcard bit, where's she going next? She doesn't know.
Right.
Maybe,
maybe Bangkok.
Yeah, maybe Bangkok or Thailand or some other place. And, what's up with this guy?
Yeah. And he also makes, this is another kind of subtle, hint that I'm like, oh, I should have fucking got that. Warwick makes a lot of very subtle movie references in his, when he talks to Taylor. He makes there are a lot of little homages.
Yep. There are one-liners all over the place. It's wonderful.
I mean, even the car wash flash dance.
That generation of music is so undervalued in modern movies. They usually do it to like make a thematic statement or like a punchline.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But
I ironically like this music.
Yeah. This wasn't.
No.
I could first of all, Warwick is of the age where car wash was definitely in his life, just like, mine and,
I fully 100% unironically love that song.
Absolutely. I mean, that and Rubber Band Man, if they'd had Rubber Band Man in here, you might have lost me. Because when that shows up, I'm just like, I can't do anything. This is awesome.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Ta-da!
See, now it's all going through my head. But anyway, it fit perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, it's all these little things that tie into it. The dance number and everything. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But you get it. And there again, that's another homage to, dance numbers in film,
Mm-hmm.
car walk, all these things.
Oh, absolutely.
All of these things. But I think if we weren't taking notes, I think we still would have missed a lot of this stuff.
I think that's true.
Because the story is just, you just don't want to unfocus.
Oh, David Hyde Pierce had me glued to him this whole movie.
We've talked about this. There are very few actors that have presence.
Mm.
And he has presence.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I've ever seen him, like even watching Frasier, right? All the rest of the cast, they're great. I focused on him over everyone else in the scene. Even if he was just like in the background, because he can just put it out there, right? He just resonates. I'm here. And in this, being the principal, you're just like, need more. Need me more, David.
Yeah.
It's great. And again, not to besmirch anybody else's performance in this movie.
Right.
Right. The detectives. Well, you had another thing. Let's go back to you want to do the simple, the subtle storytelling. And that was the one part. Was there another part?
No, it was the photo and then the movie memorabilia.
Okay. Let's talk about the detectives.
Mm-hmm.
I found it weird at first.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They were minimalist because their part in this was minimal.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, not, in terms of airtime, or camera time and stuff. They weren't germane to the story other than to establish they're detectives. They're on this case so that we could learn he's the lieutenant.
Well, not just that, right. So that we could also learn, their progress in the case against Taylor and the part that the girl played in it.
Well, to let that, come true. But Taylor, gave us most of it in his remembrances,
Mm-hmm.
Because they were, but I don't know if they were meant to be comedic, but it worked out that way because I kept chuckling, and so we're back to the detectives. Okay. Guess.
I know.
That's it.
And that's it for the detectives.
And you had, you put it in your notes. Okay. That's it for them then.
Yep. I loved reading your notes and you're like, they're really not in this a whole lot, are they?
Oh man. So again, you can have characters that don't need to fill in screen time.
Sure.
Arguably, we could have probably done without them. Things could have shifted a little bit, and we didn't necessarily have to have the detectives. I think if that had happened, though, it would be like what you were talking about. Exposition.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been as smooth. So I think they were necessary, but I think this is a good example of how a very necessary element doesn't have to be all through the whole thing.
Right.
It was literally, and now we take a break for this.
Well, yeah. And I think kind of playing into the subtlety thing, the detectives were our way of not having the reveal about work being a police lieutenant come completely out of left fucking field.
Right.
Right. I mean, it did. It came completely out of left fucking field. There was no hint, no clue, no nothing at all.
The whole thing, they show the detective pulling up to the house, getting out of the car, walking to the house, knocking on the door, right?
Right.
And you think, oh, fuck, he's there because of Taylor's
right,
fake
because
dead
the woman
body.
called. Right.
Right. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Larry. Sorry, Lieutenant. Don't mean to bother you.
Yeah.
You know, go. We're like, oh shit.
Right?
God. You know, that was as big of a smack as Taylor opening his eyes in the trash. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. Because he's clearly dead.
And I'm thinking, so what? Does he just cut the skin? But more importantly, let's not talk about his wounds. Let's talk about why the fuck would this police lieutenant / serial killer put a body out with his trash?
Right.
Like you said, this is not sustainable for a serial killer.
No.
And I started wondering, like, what's going to happen next that this will be okay? Is this what he does normally?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Because we're almost to the end of the movie and we know it.
Yeah. You know, I was like, wow, 17 minutes to go.
Hold on.
And then, all of a sudden he opens his eyes and you're like, oh, okay.
This movie is a roller coaster.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It is a wild ride.
And I like the fact that, so you get the idea that he plans these kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
And does it because he's got his album.
Right.
But the fact that he was, so down and prepared for this surprise visitor.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was, it's like, not a problem. Got this.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate dinner party host.
The perfect host.
Ready for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was the perfect host. That was the other thing.
Absolutely.
Oh man, he was out there with the hors d'oeuvres and the different drinks and the platters, making his rounds, and, leaving Taylor to him.
I bumped the desk.
Really?
I bet you didn't know that I did that.
I didn't. I'm glad you told me.
Thank you. You're welcome. I mean,
sure.
You're welcome.
Okay. But yeah, he's doing everything that a high level dinner host would do. The platters, the drinks, and the stuff. And after the dinner table, though, where he's going around eating the food off the plates to, because he's eating for them.
Right.
They don't show him doing that for all these other folks.
No.
Right. But yeah, he's making his rounds around the pool and stuff while, Taylor's floating in there. Visually, some of these instances, like when he put the mask on him, and he's, he's drunk. We were doing monster role play and he's just stuck in the part, for the neighbor lady.
Oh my God.
I love it.
What a ball. What a fun time.
It was super fun. And that's, I like movies that can inject some humor in these kinds of situations.
Well, this is absolutely a dark comedy.
Well, it is, but the comedy isn't the focus. It's not like pratfalls and, ridiculous situations and stuff like that. It's a whole thing, but the dialogue and the actions make some things stick out as like funny. You chuckle, or at least you inside chuckle at a lot of stuff. And then there's, some real creepy, like, what the fuck? When Warwick gets up and walks off, you just never know what the fuck is going to come next.
This is true.
Right? Half the time you're like, oh, is he finally fucking snapped full on? Is he coming out with a chainsaw now? I mean, what's going to happen? Even though there's like a routine.
Right.
9, midnight, 3, and 6.
Which he holds up to Taylor repeatedly,
Yeah.
As a fear tactic.
Yes. Yes. And the weird thing is, we don't know why he does it.
No.
We have watched a lot of movies. I just watched finished one last night on, a serial killer. It was based on a true story. But all movies about serial killers and these weird ass fucking people, they constantly give us the reasons, what kind of pleasure. It's not enough obviously for someone to do this, they have to get something out of it.
Right.
Right. But they kind of go out of their way to show us what kind of perverse, because there's like 1,000 different ways you can enjoy it.
Right.
Which particular.
This person is getting something they didn't get as a child.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It's because of revenge and they're taking satisfaction on it for, something that happened with somebody else ages ago, or it's, some pseudo-sexual fantasy and all this stuff. All we know is Warwick is hard into throwing dinner parties.
He loves him a dinner party.
Yep. While skimping on his psychotropic or schizophrenic,
whatever it is.
Yeah. Schizophrenia management, because that's, what happens. That's why he only takes one pill. Because he wants the fun. He knows he can function on just one.
Well,
that's another thing.
I was going to say, I know you wanted to bring that up.
At the police department, his imaginary friends keep showing up in fucking police uniforms. And after one of his big moments when he's storming out, let's go get him, his imaginary friends fall in line behind him.
Like the hero squad walk.
Yeah, like from the 70s cop shows, like the old SWAT TV show. There's Chelsea, there's Rupert, and another one.
They're in the backseat of the squad car with the other police officers, with the detectives.
When he's in the car with the 2 detectives, yep, his other 2 friends are squashed in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
He just wasn't ready to say goodbye to them just yet. He had such a good night.
Well, yeah. You get the sense that they're kind of always with him.
Yeah.
But, here's the thing. Didn't care.
No.
Didn't care why. It's not important. Didn't take anything away from it. It's a bad situation. It unfolded into all these different little layers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so much fun, and gripping.
Very gripping. Because you don't know. You have no fucking idea what is coming next.
You don't.
Even though he tells you, right? In the beginning.
Yeah.
This is how the night's going to go.
Yeah. But there's all those little Warwick moments where you're like, so what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't schlocky. Didn't focus on the comedy. Again, it wasn't pratfalls and, just stupid jokes and, stuff.
Which we just watched Zoolander with Lily, which is just all lowbrow humor.
Yeah, we introduced her to it because we talked about a couple scenes from it for like a long time, like the whole, school for children who don't read so good, who can't read good.
Yeah.
And, this is school for ants. And she's been wondering, what the hell are you talking about? So we tuned her into that just tonight. Yeah. And she appropriately, it's ridiculous and she knows it. Because it's just, raw, silly ass, mindless humor.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You don't have to think about it.
There's nothing intellectual about the movie Zoolander.
No. But the perfect host is.
Yes.
And for movie aficionados.
Oh, it's all in here, baby.
Yeah, lots of call outs. They're there. They're there if you're listening. I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And I'm not going to say what. That's not important to the purpose of this podcast. So listeners, you need to check it out, see if you can find it. Because not all of these are like, the top 10 movie quotes of all time. A lot of them are for people who love movies.
Yeah.
And can remember the mundane shit, the cult classic type stuff. It's all in there. It's great.
It is. Oh, nuts. I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, that's just bad radio.
I think it's a good radio.
I don't think it is.
Isn't this good?
No. The cinematography is without saying is right up there. This was very professional work.
Yes.
So yeah, for $500,000, you expect that.
I mean, this
Yeah.
movie did get the kudos for it. I mean, it got into Sundance.
Yeah, it got rewarded
Mm-hmm.
for all of its stuff. And with, like I said, with $500,000, you can get the equipment and the people needed.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, David Hyde Pierce is like the A actor. Everybody else is not super A-list, so their day rates and stuff were clearly manageable, which allows you to spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
On the production and post.
I do feel like this character Warwick was written specifically for David Hyde Pierce. I cannot confirm this via fact, but I believe in my heart of hearts that this
and that could very well be
specifically written for David Hyde Pierce.
We know of people who have written scripts specifically for a specific actor in mind, right?
Well, when we talked about Lost in Translation, Sofia Coppola specifically was like, I need, Bill
Murray. Yeah. Otherwise,
the big BM.
Yeah. This isn't gonna. Oh, that's terrible. He might like that.
I think he would.
I think he would take that somewhere.
I think they actually make that joke in zombie movie.
Zombieland,
yeah.
The zombie movie.
Yeah.
Oh, very specific.
I know.
Oh man. But anyway, that says a couple things. One, that the writer lucked out, or it could very well have been like, I've got this idea for this thing. Would you be interested?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they know David and all this stuff, but it also goes to, David Hyde Pierce, regardless of whether it was written for him or not, making it him. Because you can write something for someone, but because they got to play a character, not themselves. Right. We have a bit part in our zombie film that if Bruce Campbell were to pop into it,
written, specifically for him,
anyone could do it.
Oh yeah. I mean,
but we did it and had it. This is where, if we could get just like 11 minutes of his time on film, these are the things we'd have him do and say. But anyone could do it. So writing for someone, they have to do what you wrote, kind of thing. But yeah, either way, it seemed like a perfect match. And, David Hyde Pierce kicked this shit out of the park.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have anything else? I think we covered the big things, the writing, the story, the editing. Editing is like key to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the biggest takeaway. I think the second biggest for me is how to inject comedy without going like full lampoon.
Right.
Because we've seen horror comedies that are bloody and stuff, but they go the long road for the humor.
That's true. I mean, the other thing I think this movie is absolutely a masterclass in is twists.
Yes.
I mean, this thing's a bowl of spaghetti. There's just so many twists and turns in it. It's bananas.
I don't know. I know what you're saying, and I agree. I don't think twists is the right word because I'm starting to get like sour with that word because every time someone says twist, I think of fucking M. Night Shyamalan, and
even doesn't exist for me.
Even Robot Chicken took him on. Oh, what a twist!
Oh, what a twist!
Anyway, so if you know what I'm talking about, listeners, great. If not, don't worry about it. I don't know, just the unfolding of all these things. I mean, these turns and reveals and stuff. It was just so well done. Because when I think of twist, everything I can think of that I associate with it is like jarring.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about, like, it's like how I hate fucking Agatha Christie stories. Who was the butler? Where the fuck was he in the story? It'd be like Sherlock Holmes talking about this and this and this, and then it was, Alfonso.
Yeah.
Who's Alfonso? Alfonso is a night gardener at such and such. And it's like, well, you've never mentioned him in this fucking movie up until just now at the reveal.
True.
So there's there's got to be a more finessed term than twist to give credence to the artful work that this and some other films have done. It's very smooth. But in terms of storytelling, folks, that's how you do it.
I'm looking up twist in the thesaurus.
Oh my God.
So we can find another word.
Doing it again.
How about...
You're typing. You're killing someone.
I'm not typing like I'm killing someone. Listen,
I hear it
twist in the thesaurus comes up with a whole bunch of words that we are not looking for.
Well, that's what I mean. There's got to be something that has a cinematic flavor to it.
Well, but this is like crumple, crush, buckle, rotate, swivel. It's a swivel. No. We have to do like reveal, plot twist, synonyms.
Intermingled layers. I don't know.
Okay, how about curveball?
No, that's like a cheap version.
How about...
This movie threw me a curveball.
What is this even? Is this a saying? Bolt from the blue. This is on here.
Yeah, a bolt from the blue, meaning like a lightning bolt from a clear blue sky.
Interesting. Oh, huh.
Sudden and unexpected.
I've never heard that phrase
Came
before.
at me like a bolt from the blue.
Wow. I've never heard anything like that before.
You didn't spend your life with octogenarians growing up.
Bombshell? That's very violent, I think.
Yeah, you see, we need to do it might have to just be like a phrase, not just a simple word.
I'm looking on Word Hippo for another word for plot twist. And one thing under nearby words, I don't know what this is, but I instantly love it. Plotus melanogaster.
That's not what we're looking for.
Apparently it's a bird.
Right.
Not a plot twist.
No.
But it sounds like a plot twist.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, we can get past that.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful way to turn things, turn on its heels, like that kind of thing.
Bolt from the blue.
Bolt from the blue type stuff. Curiously, our mood lighting is blue, so maybe it was destined.
Oh, perhaps.
I don't know. Maybe you subconsciously zeroed in.
I don't type like I'm angry.
I could hear you through, not like in my headphones, but like through my headphones. I could hear them in the head.
They're not quiet keys.
It's not like an old IBM keyboard. It sounds almost like a fucking Selectric typewriter.
Anyway.
Plus, they're the old. That was my laptop. I know how the keys sound. I know how to, because they're like zero movement. Yeah. Anyway, how to bring all these plot points in at various, points in the movie and have them make sense. This is a super, super good example. Like you said, it's a masterclass on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of others out there that are masterclasses on how not to do it. Because you're like, the lack of information given to us.
Right.
A lot of movies that.
Oh, they didn't spoon feed you stuff. They made you think for it.
Made you think for it, and they made you wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave it to you in very like spoon size servings, rather than here's a whole heaping bowl of here's what the fuck you just watched. And I think it's especially in my head because we got Lily those 2 animated channels, so she could watch all of her animes and stuff. And on them is the redone Star Blazers. Not the one I grew up with, but I was watching a few of those episodes in the background today, doing stuff, and Jesus Christ, the exposition. It's one of the things about anime that just makes my
grinds your gears.
Oh man. Yeah. I could make diamonds in my puckered up asshole at the amount of fucking exposition that goes on. That it's irrelevant.
They're not even tight. I love anime, but that's a great failing of anime is that there's so much exposition.
And some of them are worse at it than others. I mean, some are just like, it's almost like, you know what? We know our audience is too fucking stupid to catch anything. So what we're going to do is we're literally going to explain the entirety of the last 5 minutes of what just happened.
Yeah.
You know, that's because
I love when they
such
go,
and such was this, and then they did this. Like, dude, I just fucking watched it, man.
I love when they go like full on purred happily in animes and describe what they're doing as they're doing it.
Yes. Don't try and surprise the audience. You know, Seven Deadly Sins.
I'm breaking into this building now.
Yeah, the new season for Seven Deadly Sins came out, and we downed a couple episodes. Oh my God.
Oh, I love that. She's got a power level of 110,000, but this other person has a power level of 220,000. So there's no way.
Yeah, or
they can get beat.
And even though this, this is my friend and this and that and such, and he does this and he eats, Cheetos and Doritos
It's
and
just
this and
bananas.
that. Because of that, you're just like, any minute now, let's just go ahead and get right back into the story. Whenever you're ready, man. Whenever you're ready. I guess you're not ready yet because you're still fucking talking.
Right.
Oh my God. Anyway, a lot of thrillers suffer from that, comedy or otherwise, horror or otherwise. This one did it the way it should be done.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a few out there that do it, and the rest are just like, a lot to learn from this movie.
Yeah, watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Watch it twice.
Watched it on Tubi, I think.
Yes, it's on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be in the show notes. Watch it twice. Watch it once just to watch it. And then watch it again for the things that we talked about. Mm-hmm. Because I think this is deserving of just a full on, because we're going to watch it again.
Yeah, eventually. I do want to, because I want to see all these little references.
Yeah, where we can just dive into it and sit back on that wonderful new couch. There you go, folks.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
Yeah?
Before we go into the whole go to our website, yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
I want to have a short company meeting.
On air?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to make a proposal.
Okay.
Okay. Because we've spent a lot of this episode saying the name David Hyde Pierce over and over again. Because that's how he goes, right? As an actor, that's his whole deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I listened to a lot of, other things, and I think we should go full name as we do our intros and outros. Not middle name, don't have to do that. But just first name, last name. Be a little more formal. Be like, we're podcast personalities. We have full names. We're fully developed.
Cher is a personality. She's only got one name.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. Yeah. I'm putting it forward for discussion.
Bring the motion up.
Okay. I motion.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there a second? No, motion fails to carry.
I second.
You can't second your own motion.
Can I get Lily? She'll second it.
She is not part of the executive board. Nor will she be. Because Jean-Claude can't vote. And he's my only ally in this house. it's
Jean-Claude Van Roomba.
Yeah, he's more of a psychological boost to me than an actual help. No, I think we're good. Meeting adjourned.
Fine.
I'll put the notes out tomorrow.
Yeah, I expect to see the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
With that, go check out our website.
It's www.lordsofmisruleproductions.com. Everything's there. All the links, all the stuff. Check it out. Got email addresses on there. Reach out to us. We want to hear from you, creators. We love it.
Or if you just want us to cover a movie, even if you didn't have anything to do with the movie.
Yeah.
We're down.
Sure. Yeah. There's a Patreon link. There's podcast platform links, just all kinds of stuff, social media. It's all there, a blog and so forth. Working on some things that may show up on the site. Ooh, now you're going to have to keep checking back. We'll see how that goes. But that won't happen until after vacation.
Okay.
Which is a week and a half away.
Well, by the time you listen to this,
we'll have been on vacation.
And, it'll be time to check the site for stuff.
Yeah, or we found pirate treasure and we're never coming back, so. B-siders. Check this out. Look at it. Take notes on it. Enjoy it. And keep doing your own thing. And until we talk to you, well, for you, it'll be next week. Until that time, this is Jim.
And this is America's Sweetheart. No, wait, I did that last time. What did I say earlier? Oh, this is your manic pixie dream girl, Danny.
Should you write that down before we begin?
Did I write? I didn't write it down.
No, I said, should you?
No, absolutely
I've got my note. I've made occasional notes on this.
Absolutely not. It's funnier if I forget, like I just did.
Okay, sure.
But listen, though.
Yes.
This is your manic pixie dream girl, Danny. No last name. I'm just pointing that out for you.
Okay. And we will talk to you soon.
Bye.